Hey everybody, this is Michael White. Guys, I know I haven't gone live in a long time, but I really wanted to put something together with Chris Bodhi. I've had him on the podcast before, and this was a topic that we're both passionate about because we've seen the negatives and we also seen the positives of rushing too quickly. And we're actually here on the show today to actually discuss it, why you shouldn't rush into a relationship too quickly, because there is times when you can rush into it too quickly, but then there's also stories of people who have been together for 50 to 60 years who rushed into it quickly and they have 50 to 60 years. So again, I'm going to let Chris introduce himself, tell a little bit about his story and why he picked this topic. So Chris, the floor is yours.
Hey, Michael, I really appreciate you having me on the show again, man. It's always been a blast and it's fun. And, I really enjoyed doing the last one. But everybody here, I'm Bodhi. Some of you might know me as Chris. I'm the founder of a company called EntrepreneurFit, which is for the mind, body, business, and soul. Michael and I started talking about this. Well, actually, I should just start here. I am from Canada originally, but right now I'm living in Cozumel, Mexico. So that's why we got the background and I've got my shirt kind of undone because it's 40 degrees here and 75% humidity. It is extremely hot and it's overbearing, but it's still beautiful. I'm not complaining as much as it sounds like I am. But so I really enjoyed this topic that Michael and I came together and wanted to bring out to, because I wouldn't say I'm a victim, but I am notorious for rushing into relationships too quickly. And you know what? I keep doing it and doing it. I get slapped on the hand and I keep doing it. I get slapped on the hand and keep doing it. And I think it stems from, wanting the acceptance, and from me as a childhood, having childhood trauma, only on my mom's side. My dad's my best friend, but I went through some pretty shitty stuff, and wanting to be accepted and stuff like that. So I think when I developed maturity and, as girls started becoming attracted to me, I really started seeking that kind of attention. And when somebody gave me that attention, I'd go running for it. Now, I've definitely gained a lot of confidence from then. Now I'm okay with being single and I'm okay with being by myself. But before, when you get into the beginning of that relationship and everything's so lovey-dovey and, you're in the bedroom like rabbits all the time and, things are going great and you get those feelings. Things with me for some reason have rushed really fast with all the girls I've been with. And I don't mean all the girls, but I mean, I've dated a few and been in some long-term relationships, but they've all gone from 0 to 500 within, 2 weeks. And it's not good. It's not healthy. And, it happened with my last relationship, and she was an absolutely amazing girl. And it went too fast. We didn't get the time to really know each other. I mean, we were phone friends for a year and we didn't see each other physically. And the energies that you get when you come together are a lot different than when you can on the phone.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
Agreed. Well, see, that's the question I wanted to ask you, because you said rushing is bad. But then how comes for some couples they can rush into it and then they're together for 30 to 40 years?
Because I think that there's two differences of rushing. Like my kind of rushing that I always did is I'd jump into a relationship and we'd move in right away. Within sometimes I've had relationships where we've moved in within a month of, of starting to date, because the attraction was so strong, or so we thought, but so that I'm not going to say the word bad. I don't like to use that in my vocabulary, but I don't think it's healthy to do that, because I think the people that have the longevity of a relationship and the stability after, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and even though they've rushed into a relationship, they probably took their time, even though rushing into it and giving themselves a title, hey, we're boyfriend, girlfriend, to introduce each other to each other's parents, to each other's kids and stuff like that, but they took it still slow. You know what I mean? It wasn't like the overnight thing, like, hey, why don't you sleep over, even though the kids have only met you twice, and stuff like that. And it's just, it's not healthy. So I think those people who have the longevity probably took the time, you know what I mean? Like introducing the kids, or just very short times at a time. So I think there's two kinds of rushing.
Well, I have a different spin on it, and you can let me know if you agree with this. I would say the rushing thing worked before social media.
Oh yeah,
And
let's hear that.
yeah, because back then, like, you didn't have all these options. You liked a girl, you met her, you got her phone number, you talk on the phone, you would hang out. You know what I mean? You can really focus on you. But then when the social media thing came into play and online dating and all these other, it changes the dynamic because you're like, well, if this person doesn't give me attention, I can hop online and get attention there if I need it. Back then, you didn't have the choice. Back then, you found a way to kind of make it work. So,
Yeah, you know what? You're right, because I'm trying. Like, I mean, I have long-term memory, not short-term, but I remember that before social media was there. You know, that, like, especially when I was a kid living at home, you were limited on how often you could be on the phone. You know what I mean? So it gave you that separation time that made the heart grow fonder, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it wasn't as easy to access conversation with the person that you just met. It wasn't as easy to see how what their life is like, because if you meet somebody on social media or dating sites or even anybody on the street and you got their name and they connect you to social media, you can basically sum up their life in 15 minutes.
exactly.
And I think that that's a form of rushing, and it's almost too fast because now you've painted a picture from pictures. You know what I mean? And now you have your own perception. And now I'm not saying everybody, but I can see where I could be closed-minded thinking, I've already know this person. I've already seen everything she does. She's got dogs. She's got a kid. The kid's with her dad sometimes, or she hates the dad, or the dad hates her. And it's a broken family and all that stuff. And you've got it all figured out. Whereas I think it's really important is if you don't rush, you get to learn those things in time. And I think that those things come more gracefully and a little bit more heartfelt than just reading it digitally, because you can't believe whatever the fucking internet says. You know what I mean? Like, and I hate it when people do it. And I'm probably the same way. I mean, my Facebook's flooded with all happy stuff, sunsets and rainbows and fishing and snorkeling, and also work. I mean, I work more than I play, but you know, some people might have the perception that I don't, you know, and then, you know, like with me, with my rushing, my biggest thing, my problem is when I fall hard and I fall fast. And it's really hard for me to dig my heels in and slow it down because, for example, my last girlfriend that you met, and it was Teresa. I mean, you know, like we went so fast, and I started posting on social media, oh, this is the love of my life. This is my very last first kiss, you know, and, you know, we went out to Mexico together without hardly even knowing each other, and, you know, like all that kind of stuff. And it was all sunshine and rainbows. And then a month later, nobody's seeing any posts from me, and I'm getting a million questions. Hey, what happened? You guys still together? You guys still together? No. And then I got to explain myself a million times. If you took the time gradually, you know, you can save yourself a lot of heartache and some true, genuine ways to get to know that person. So I really like that you said that with social media.
Well, I have a question for you, Chris, because like I know that you're saying rushing is bad and everything like that, but where do we draw the line when it's just, for some people, they just know what they want? Where do you draw that line? Because there's some people that are just like, look, man, I want marriage, kids, blah, blah, blah. And they are like, that's what they're set on. So then how do you draw the line? Because for them, that might not be rushing. That might just be certainty.
Yeah, but I mean, both parties have to be on agreement with that too, right? Like, I mean, you got to really be on that same level. And I think in the beginning, I think when you get into that gaga stage and, you know, like you're both like, you know, the love eyes like Bugs Bunny used to get, right? And all that kind of stuff. I think you tend to agree with each other a lot more, you know, because you want to feel that sense of alignment, you know, and connectivity. So, you know, like I've said it before, like, oh yeah, I want to be able to be with somebody where I can go travel to a hot destination for 8 months of the year and go back to Canada for a couple months of the year. And, oh yeah, I want that too. Or, you know, like, or she says, you know, I've got family here, you know, like, there goes my ADD and I totally lost my train of thought.
No, you were pretty much just saying that, like, finding someone that's like certain and just wants to jump on all these plans.
Yeah, so I mean, if you don't have that certainty, you know, like, and you're both on that agreement that that's exactly what you want in life, I think that that's a good foundation because you can't build a house without a foundation, and then you grow it from there, right? You plant that small little plant, and then you grow it from there. I think, and I think that that's the healthy way of I guess rushing a relationship or taking.
See, I agree with you because my issue is I want to jump to the end.
Me too.
And taking the slow steps and everything else, like it's nice but like a lot of the time I'm like, look, like this is where I'm going. Like I want to jump straight to the end of the movie, right? But at the end of the time, like when you do that, and I'm only speaking from my own experiences, is you don't know what you're signing up for because you like the idea of them because you paint this image of them in your mind. And then as the relationship is progressing slowly, you start to see things and your eyes start to like, I don't know if I can really deal with this certain like behaviors or certain mindsets or whatever. But because you've created an image in your mind of what you want and they matched it for a little bit, but then when people start to get comfortable, they start to relax a little bit, they start to chill, you might not necessarily agree with who they're become when they're comfortable.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
So I know for myself, like that was an eye opener and I had to learn to like slow things down. Like if a girl likes me and I like her, yeah, we go out on dates and stuff like that. But you have to let it like open up platonically, slowly, like when you water a garden. You have to let it just like happen. But like when you try to control,
and I'm only giggling because that is so not me, and I so have to change because, like, I'm like, fuck it, let's crash, go as fast as you can. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate.
And I like that though about you though. I just don't think you found a woman that you can crash with. You see what I'm saying? Like it's different when you can crash with her. When she's like, you go 500, I go 500 too. And you're like,
yeah. But I think in the beginning, a lot of people want that. That's what they think they want, especially the older you get, because I think subconsciously, and I know consciously and subconsciously in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to reveal my age, but I'm 40-ish, right? So, but I mean, the older that I get, I mean, I want that stability. I want that.
Yeah, exactly.
All that. So I think the older you get, the faster you are susceptible to rush. And, like for me, now I'm pedaling backwards because I don't want to lead anybody on. I don't want to commit, you know what I mean, without, being 100% sure, because I live a total different lifestyle than a majority of the people out there, you know what I mean? And it's really hard to find somebody that can live that,
Well, I want to touch on something you said. You want to be 100% sure, but are we ever 100% sure?
No.
Because that's the thing. We truly never are. Right? No. Like that's the thing. Like we could be using that as a crutch to say, I need to be sure, I need to be sure, I need to be sure. But then it's like you never move. You know what I mean? Because there's that hesitation. And Janice, thank you very much for commenting. She said she's been married for 45 years. At 17 years old, her marriage was fast. And you see, like some people, that works.
Yeah.
So I think you really got to find in where you fit in.
Well, and I think that everybody really, truly does want that, right? I mean, who doesn't want to find that love of your life and go super fast and it just falls into place perfectly? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be ups and downs, but like, I mean, Janice, she's one of our EFIT partners. She's amazing. And I always think about that, like, and there's another couple I have out here in Mexico, Carrie and Bob. I mean, they were only together for 5 months and then they got married, I think, or something like that. I can't remember. Right. And then, but they are the most loving couple I've ever seen out there. And they've been together for like 10 years now.
See, so but I like that certainty. I like that certainty.
But I think it's, but they're older, right? Like they're older than me. They're not old, but you know what I mean? Like they're not about the social media and all that kind of stuff. They're not tainted by it.
But see, I like what Janice said though, and I'm sorry to cut you off. She said people give up way too easy, and it's true.
It is.
When stuff gets real, people quit.
Yeah.
They
because
say,
it's easier to move on to the next thing.
Exactly. It's easier to jump to the next thing. And this is what ties in with the social media, what I was telling you, because when you give up way too fast, you could just jump onto social media and you can look at all your options.
Yeah.
Back then, you didn't have that. Back then, when there was no social media and you liked this girl, you worked it out.
Yeah.
Now there's no working it out. Now it's just like, well, if it doesn't work, I'll jump on Tinder, I'll jump on Facebook dating, I'll jump here, I'll jump there. And
I've got a daughter who's 25 years old, and I see how they break up and how they move on. Oh, I'm not feeling it. You know what I mean? And just by texting, then you don't have to respond anymore, and you can hit block.
Oh, that's true.
Right? It's that simple to go away. Like the insensitivity, is that the right word? Has gone, it's way too high now. And I don't know, but we got to adapt to the changes. We have to. We're not going to be able to avoid it. We're going to have to do it. And insecurity levels, I think, are being affected with social media. Because I watch a lot of things, like say on TikTok, where it'll say,
so do I.
Where they'll say, if your boyfriend or husband, whatever, wanted you to delete your Instagram account, would you? You know what I mean? And most of the girls are like, no. But if it bothers you, you got to have that conversation. And if nobody's willing to budge, it's like social media is now the root of so many issues in a relationship.
It is.
And it's like, not only does it affect the relationship out of jealousy and all that kind of stuff, but also being able to, like I said, rush too fast. You get a perception of your partner too quick. I think, so
I agree with you.
The mosquitoes are so bad here. Like, it is unreal. Bottom line is don't rush in your relationship. Even if you're in your 40s or whatever, you still got tons of time, and I think they've said it for our entire lives. Good things come to those who wait. Don't lead people on. Don't dig yourself into something that you're going to hurt somebody if you need to get out of, and stuff like that. And just keep it slow, because I think the more you get to know somebody, and it's been very hard for me to backpedal because I want to rush into everything. I want to rush into business. I want to rush into relationships. I want to rush into everything. I'm built that way. I'm like what Charlie Sheen said, right? I've got one gear and it's go, right? And
I don't think there's anything wrong. I just think you like to be efficient. That's how because again, I know a lot of men like yourself. I do. And they're married men now. And when they met their wives, they were like, look, I'm going this way. Are you coming? Their wives are like, I'm coming. Like, you know what I mean? And that's just who you are, right? So I think at the end of the day, there needs to be a level of understanding of what rushing means to both of you. Yeah. Because as you said, people have different levels of understanding. So they need to understand, well, what does rushing look like to you? What does rushing look like to me? And then again, you can adjust. That's what you're always supposed to do. You're supposed to pivot and adjust.
Yeah.
And I think when you can pivot and adjust with somebody, that's when it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. Because 90% of my relationships I've got into, and it's gotten very serious, and we haven't even had our first argument yet. And that's one of the biggest things is, like, I remember one time a girlfriend of mine wanted me to go to counseling, and we were young. And I was like, oh man, are you kidding? Like couples counseling? Like, we're in our early 20s. Like, what? And, I was out of the relationship mentally. I've already checked out.
Yeah.
But I still went, because I love learning and, and we were fighting all the time. And that's why we went to the counselor, because we didn't know each other. We just moved in and started fighting. And I remember the counselor said to me, they're like, obviously you checked out of this relationship, but what are you going to do in your next relationship? And I said, I'm going to pick a fight with her. Right out of the gate, and not really like pick a fight, but you know what I mean? Like, to just now I've worded it in a way where, like, if I go on a date or something, I'm really interested, I want to be able to ask, how do you like to fight?
How do you handle conflict?
How do you handle conflict? What do you like? Here's what I'm like. Because I think people skip those stages, especially when you rush too fast. You're in honeymoon mode, your eyes are going like crazy, and you're holding hands, hugging, sex, all that kind of stuff. You're introducing them to your friends and all that stuff, and you haven't even really had that argument yet. And then when you do, maybe I'm a yeller, maybe she's a yeller, maybe she leaves with her friends for 2 days, maybe I leave with her friends for 2 days with my friends, not her friends, but who knows, and that can be detrimental to the first bit that you've rushed into a relationship. I'm not putting myself into that area again. Like, I am done with it. I know I keep saying it, and I'm sure I've said it to people, and I do. I want my last first kiss. But at this time, like I think I brought this up on our last podcast, and I relate this very much to business, and to relationships. There was a company in Calgary, Alberta, for those of you who aren't listening or that aren't from here, but in Calgary, where I'm from, originally there was this big giant company called SMED, and they built office furniture. Humongous company. They even had a road named after them and everything. I forget his first name, but anyways, he tanked the business apparently, like it went under or whatever, and he ended up selling out, and he couldn't start a new business in the same industry for a year or something like that for a non-compete clause. So he started a new business, and I saw all these cars driving around Calgary, really nicely marketed, and it said DIRT, DIRTT. And I was like, what the hell is this? So I actually went to the company, and I was like, I got to understand why you guys called your name DIRT. Like, why? You guys sell office furniture. And he told me the story about how he lost his business. It affected his relationship. He got divorced, all this kind of stuff. And his new company stood for DIRTT, which is doing it right this time. And I base that now on my business. I base it especially on my relationships, that, when I get into a relationship, it's all based on dirt, and it's doing it right this time. So that means taking the time. Don't rush as much as you want to. Don't just go flying into it. Get to know that person in every way. You can't just have like I did in my last relationship, a phone conversation for a year and a half and never met physically. And then I'd bring her out to Mexico, and it was so different. The energy, man, when you're face to face, and like you don't see somebody behind a filter, and not, I mean, she was gorgeous regardless, but you know what I mean? It's just,
you need to know what you're signing up for.
Yeah,
and I think that is important.
It's not just a physical filter that they have, like say on Instagram or whatever.
It's an emotional filter.
But it's also that too, because you can be a lot different behind a keyboard than you can be in person. So no, I'm doing it right this time. I'm going to base it on dirt and take the time, because relationships are, no matter who you're with, if you're a man dating a man, a woman dating a woman dating, I don't care. Whatever, you know what I mean? And those need to be nourished, just like everything that we care for in our life, our kids, our jobs, and everything. If you try to rush a business, like go from 0 to 100, try to make $1 million in a week,
it won't happen.
It's going to fail, and it's going to go. And then you're setting yourself up for the next one. So you got to just take your time on it. And that's what I'm going to do. So
I agree with you. And I think through doing that is just spending quality time together. Well, no matter what that looks like. And I think like through the quality time, you're able to kind of see who they are. And especially when things arise like conflict and all that other stuff, and you're able to see, oh, this person handles conflict very well, or they handle this very well, or they don't handle this very well. But I think at the end of the day, it's just, as you said, taking slow steps, but making sure that the person understands that you have a plan for them, that this is a serious thing for you, and that you'd like to, see it go to the finish line. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. But, they're still going to get 100% from you right now.
Yeah. No, that makes 100% sense. But
So-
I think we covered, a lot of base on why you shouldn't rush into relationships so quick. I'm glad people are interacting, and every day's learning for me. That's why I love getting onto these podcasts with you, and that you geared your direction into the love and relationship conversations, because these are so needed and so important,
But it's also understanding that I think, as I said, like with the rushing thing, for some people, it's a tough conversation because they don't know what the problem is, as you said. They're like, well, all my relationships are ending, but they don't understand that maybe it's because they're rushing. Maybe it's because they need to actually take a step back and actually do some self-reflection and say, this is why I'm messing up. This is why nothing's working.
Yeah. Well, I know for me, I love that I can identify my problems, and I love when people give me corrective criticism, because I've talked to a lot of friends, like I've said, like, fuck, none of my relationships are lasting, and they're like, it's because you jump into bed with them, like, and live with them or whatever, or they move in with you right in the first month or whatever. Like, you haven't even gotten time to know anything about them, their habits or their cleansingness or their anything that they do, their work habits, how they act while they work from home, because I was in a relationship. We were so fantastic, had the best times of our lives, and she worked from home and I worked from home. And we just started living together. And when she was working from home, if you tried to talk to her, man, you got an evil eye. She would not speak a word to you all day. So I'd be like, hey, honey, like, how's it going? Don't talk to me. I'm in a zone. I'm working. And I'm like, that's not going to fly for me. You know what I mean? Because I have ADD and I don't expect people to just do what I do. But, like, that drove me nuts. And that was a huge, huge part of our breakup. And it's because I didn't get the time to know that about her.
Because then you would have maybe not committed to her to say, well, I don't think I can commit to that.
I would have, but I would have thought, okay, she's like this, so I'll make arrangements and I'll go work from my office or I'll go work from a different office. You know what I mean? But, being at home and now being on eggshells that she's going to get pissed off if I go upstairs and, pull ice out of the ice maker on the fridge and it makes a lot of noise and, and stuff like that. It's a horrible way to feel and live.
I agree.
So everybody, don't rush into relationships. Don't rush into business. Don't rush into business relationships. You got to finesse it and grow it organically and let it happen. It's
well, I have one question for you. Yeah. I have one question for you before you go. You said you have daughters and their relationships end very quickly. It's just like, bye, block, no more. What advice do you give to them?
The same advice you give to everybody. Take your time to do it. But I mean, our attention span and our smorgasbord and our digital buffet is so high, it's almost impossible. Like you said, you can bounce from the next one to the next one to the next one. And I feel horrible because my daughter's seen me go through quite a few relationships and they've all been amazing people. Like, we've had some really great points. It just didn't work out. But I think she sees my patterns, and I always feel guilty that, now she rushes into relationships because, she was a lot like me. But I mean, when you've got that digital buffet of, you can basically have what you want when you want, and
yeah, see?
Like, it's hard.
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up because you see, like, before we go, guys, you see, all you really have to do, like, and this is really bad, that when people are in relationships, okay, it didn't work out with you, I will find someone that will give me what I want right now. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the problem, because then you don't want to work anything out. You'll just say, someone else will give it to me right now, instead of saying, well, why don't we work it out and pace ourselves? It doesn't mean we're going slow. It doesn't mean we're going fast, but we're pacing ourselves and knowing that certain checkpoints and miles that the relationship is moving. Because you don't want a stagnant relationship where it's just so slow that, like, nothing's changing and evolving, but then you don't want it to go too fast where it crashes and burns, but you want to know that that at least there's milestones and the relationship is progressing in healthy steps. Yeah.
And, like, I sometimes sit back and I think, like, and I look out at the ocean here or whatever, and I think, why did I really come? And, a lot of it had to do with social media and the drama and just past relationships and my business. Like, I came out to Mexico here for one. It's a fraction of the cost of living in Canada. So it's very good for somebody like me who can work remotely to build a business and save money and then come back. You know what I mean? Like, it's so inexpensive to live out here. And two, like, I had somebody say to me a few months ago, like, why did you leave Canada? And I was like, I was just sick and tired of the drama. I was sick and tired of, like, seeing people argue about Justin Trudeau and COVID and all that kind of stuff. So I took off. You know what I mean? And they're like, well, drama is everywhere. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And then I thought about it. I'm like, no, you're wrong. I came to a country where I don't speak Spanish, right? So I mean very little bit, which is poquito, but not enough to, like, get into a serious conversation. And so when I'm out here, I don't hear about any of the news. I don't hear about any of the drama. I don't hear about any of the politics or anything like that. And I only use social media to post pictures and a little bit of my business. No drama or anything like that, because I have no drama to write about. And everybody I meet out here is mostly on vacation mode. So, and they're living in the Caribbean. So they're all walking around with smiles because there's no drama, and they're on vacation mode, or, the weather's so beautiful, you can't be cranky. So I'm around zero drama or anything like that, whether it's, politics or relationships or social media.
I think it's important to have that. I think it's important to have drama-free zones, but drama does come. But I feel that when the drama comes, how quickly can you fix it?
Yeah, but drama comes when you rush shit. Drama comes when you rush a business. Drama comes when you rush a relationship. you know, and like all that stuff. There's a lot of stress with it, you know, involved with it when you rush stuff. I think if you take your time and you're legitimate and you're, you know, like, and you're very authentic, I think that you can alleviate a lot of that drama and
stress.
Just slow the fuck down. That's it. You know, and I have to tell myself that every single morning when I get out of bed, Chris, slow down, because I'm in the shower, I jump out of bed, and there's no like opening my eyes and like stretching. My eyes are open, boom, I hit the floor, hit the shower, backpack on, computer, and I'm already out the door within a period of 10 minutes, and then instantly on my first Zoom. So now I'm trying to pace it where I get up, you know, and I can have a smoothie and slow down. And it's really hard to break that habit. And it's going to be really hard to break that habit in a relationship rushing mode as well, too.
I like it. Well, look, Chris, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to be on the show. As I said, you know, we'll definitely do more shows. You guys will see Chris back here. So I really appreciate it. If there's anything you want to tell the audience before we go, please say it.
Yeah, you know, so I really think that these are very informative. I'm excited to be on it again. Just so you guys know that Michael is a part of our platform here, entrepreneurFit. And I'm not trying to plug here, guys, but you know, like, he offers his relationship coaching inside of our platform. We literally offer every health, wellness, healing, holistic, and fitness service, and Michael's one of them in there for relationships. And you guys are more than welcome to join our community for free. Like, come be a part of it. Come use Michael's services in there. He's so heartfelt and caring and just really out there to really help people, you know, especially in relationships and as a pal, you know. So I really appreciate it, and you know, let's do a lot more of these. Let's think of something else on the next topic there. I know,
don't worry, I got some in my pocket.
Magdalena and I, what was our last one?
Dating over 40.
Yeah, we did that one, and then, but I had a platform called Raw Talks. You remember that?
Yes.
So Magdalena and I used to do those ones together.
Okay.
And we still might bring them back up, but I think our last one was on sex, intimacy, and relationships, and we just shot the shit about it.
Are you bringing that back?
I don't know. I doubt it. I've got so much on my plate, man.
Okay.
But it's something that we can do. I mean, it's still sitting there, but yeah, we should think about a topic, and I really like the topics that people don't sometimes feel comfortable talking about, you know?
Well, again,
like rushing into sex too fast, or, you know, any of that kind of stuff, because it's great. If the young listeners are listening, it's great for them to hear us. Well, not you guys, but me, the Gen X guys.
Well, I have a bonus for you. If you do bring back Raw Talk, and hopefully people in the chat are paying attention, if you do bring it back, we should talk about the difference between sex and intimacy. They're not the same thing. They're totally too different.
Yeah, we can do that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just got a little loud.
Yeah, because my headset just shot right off. I can't hear you.
But anyways, guys, we're going to end the stream.
Okay.
And
I don't know what's happening. Hang on, are you there?
Soon. Yeah, it cut out.
Yeah.
So
okay, you guys. So can you hear me, Michael?
Yeah, yes? I can hear you.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to improv this because I can't hear Michael right now, and it's a good thing we're at the end. So I'm going to just sign off by saying goodbye, and thank you so much for all of you being a part of this and listening to this and listening to the replay. Michael, you're a kick-ass guy. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And, yeah, until the next one. But, yeah, thank you, everybody.
Take care.